A year ago, the Mets were worried that that man, R.A. Dickey, they were worried about his plans to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. Turns out there's something in the air up there. The Mets starter easily won the 2012 National League Cy Young Award. He's the first knuckleballer ever to do that. In the American League, it was David Price who edged out Justin Verlander. David Price, the Rays starter. But R.A. Dickey's really one of the interesting stories here. And Brian Costa joins us now to discuss the award. Brian, good morning.
Good morning.
So just a couple facts here for R.A. Dickey. He was in the minors for 14 years. He's missing a ligament in his pitching elbow. He switched to the knuckleball to save his career at one point. It's a great story.
Oh, yeah. No, he's, you know, if sports writers wanted to create their own character to, you know, fill their needs for things to write about, you know, they create someone like R.A. Dickey. I mean, he just, you know, to go through what he went through just to get a regular major league job, you know, failing for so long as a conventional pitcher, converting to a knuckleballer, and then to rise to this level is pretty incredible.
Now, another interesting thing about both of these players, we should say, is that they have the same agent and that they were raised about 30 miles away from each other, R.A. Dickey and David Price.
Both went to college in Tennessee. Dickey went to Tennessee. Price went to Vanderbilt, and they have the same agent, so they actually know each other pretty well. Although, you know, as pitchers, they're completely different. I mean, you know, Price has sort of had success from day one. He's this young, you know, hard-throwing left-hander. You know, Dickey had to wait a long time to get here. He throws his knuckleball, you know, 75 to 80 miles an hour. So they're, you know, they're similar and different in different ways.
Now, R.A. Dickey in the National League won in a runaway. David Price, the vote was it was a lot closer in the American League. He just barely edged out last year's Cy Young / MVP award winner Justin Verlander.
Right. It was just 4 points was the difference. They have a point system based on, you know, if you get 7 points for a first place vote, 4 for second, and so on. And you know, the 4-point difference was the closest since 1969, and that was before they allowed writers to put more than one pitcher on their ballot. So, you know, it really shows how evenly matched those two were.
They were. Their ERAs, David Price on there, was 2.56. Justin Verlander, he had an ERA of 2.64. Won 3 fewer games. But
Price had more wins, had a better ERA. Verlander threw more innings, had more strikeouts. So, you know, it was really one of those things where for voters, I think, had to try to figure out which statistics they put more merit on. And obviously it was very close.
One question about R.A. Dickey. Did the Mets trade him? There's a lot of people that suggest he should.
Did the Mets trade him? No. Dickey is still a Met. He's under contract only through the end of next season. So what they're doing now is talking to him about you know, an extension that would keep him under contract beyond that. But it's not really clear that they've made much progress there, and so they're also, you know, kind of trying to explore the trade market for him, not because they don't like him, but because, you know, they have a lot of other needs in their roster to fill, and they might have to trade one of their pitchers to fill them, and so that's just something they're looking into right now. You know, we're not really clear which way that's going to go yet.
And when you think about it, the other concern here is that, so R.A. Dickey going 20-5 this year, I'm sorry, was it 20-6, I should say. I mean, that's a lot better than he's ever performed in any other year. This is about as high as his trade value would ever be. And like you said, the Mets are a terrible team. They need to fill their roster in a lot of other spots. It would seem like now is the time. He's got, you know, his value's maxed out. Get him to a contender. Get a whole bunch of prospects.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, with him, you know, it's not just a one-year thing. I mean, he certainly was not at this level the last couple of years, but the last few years he's been very reliable. You know, it's been one of the most consistent pitchers in the National League. And knuckleballers can throw, you know, they kind of last longer in their careers historically because they don't throw as hard and have it broken down as early. So I don't think there's a compelling reason to get rid of him. It's just that, you know, you have to find somewhere to deal from strength to be able to fill some other needs right now. And, you know, if it's him or, you know, one of their other young pitchers, you know, they may be more inclined to, you know, give up the older guy, even though he's not by any means breaking down, and try to fill their needs that way. So it's not an ideal position for them to be in. Really, you don't want to have to trade a Cy Young winner.
Brian, last question, very briefly. You only have a few seconds. Throwing you a curveball. AL MVP, Miguel Cabrera or Mike Trout?
Mike Trout.
Awesome. Great answer. Hopefully, it's not going to happen, but we'll talk about why it should happen tomorrow, hopefully. Anyway, Brian, thanks so much for joining us.